This is Finance Meets Real Estate. We have Zhang here today. He's the founder of Open House AI, and he was gracious enough to step in last minute for his colleague, actually, for this presentation. So I'm very glad he's here. And so he's going to speak about artificial intelligence technology in real estate. Specifically, in the context of what his firm does, it's a home builder intelligence platform. I'm still learning about it and trying to understand all the details. And he's, besides CEO of his company, Open House AI, he's also Chief Revenue Officer of it. And he's going to talk about the impact of real-time data as a tool to future-proof your business. So what his company does, so it's a revolutionary AI technology that empowers home builders to leverage real-time data and offer their buyers a personalized shopping experience. So this helps, as he told me, this helps also home buyers essentially like fine-tune their market and sort of like even build the right thing. So it is, I believe, he made a comparison, Netflix in a way, like a Netflix experience for customers of like for homeowners, like in home buyers. So I'm extremely interested to hear more about it. And we're doing a Q&A, like kind of like open format Q&A. It's not a formal presentation, so you guys feel free to jump in with any questions at any time. If you're feeling shy, you can put them on the chat or just speak up. And I'm gonna ask my questions as well. And with that, I'm gonna pass it on to Will.
Thank you for the introduction. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So great pleasure to be here. So I guess, Stefan, you want me to give a high-level introduction about what we do first, or how do we want to go about it?
Yeah, that would be great. Yes. So you guys, so as I mentioned to everybody here, so your firm is called Open House. Your website is openhouse.ai. So what do you do exactly? Yeah.
So what we do is we actually start out with an interesting concept. So first of all, myself and my team, our experience has been working with machine learning technology for more than a decade for mostly big corporation. But as basically we see the cloud computation technology become increasingly accessible, we basically decided to basically make the technology even more accessible so that we can impact this long established industry like home building industry. So what we do is essentially, when we look at how today's consumer experience are expecting, like you go to Netflix or you go to Amazon, you pretty much expect that the catalog is curated and personalized for you. So everyone go to your login Netflix account, you're basically seeing something unique to you based on your behavior pattern. So what we do is similar idea, but our customer are new home builders. So at the current phase, our focus is single family new home construction. So these home builders already paying a lot of advertising dollar to drive web traffic to their website, allowing new home buyer particularly, to explore what's possible for them to basically buy a new home in this new construction community. So when they pay all this money to their website, as of today, a lot of those home builders, their website is like, when you as a consumer go there, it's like 10 years ago experience, meaning that everyone see the same catalog, everyone see the same floor plan, and you basically have to go through the process of putting all this filter. So what we've done is that we basically transform the experience by a bolt-on solution to replace that catalog with a very dynamic, personalized experience. So we're able to basically make the technology adapt to every single customer within a few clicks, and starting to basically experimenting what is the product that most relevant for that consumer. So that's actually the front end side of what we do. Now, what's more important, because our customer actually are home builders, right? So we basically transform their website. Then we present to the home builder that now you can see 100% of web traffic, what the people's expression about the homes that they like, what are they looking for, and then we inform the home builder on what is the best product mixture for you to basically go capture the market segment that you're interested in to capture. what are the gaps that potentially exist in opportunity, you can develop new product for it. How do you make decision using quantitative approach to optimize a decision on when the ratio of the inventory versus pre-sale, and also eventually your pricing decision, option mixture. When we learn enough about that, we'll be basically mature our technology. Then we will more look into more longer term forecast, and we can start working with multifamily home builder as well. So that's our long-term ambition.
And so just for my understanding, so let's say, so at the initial stage, so it's single family residence home builders at the current stage, and so and they would, let's say you would customize the experience to their, let's say their website, call it. Let's say, so their website, instead of like giving like a flat out marketing presentation with what their four points are, et cetera, it's going to have like a very like Netflix, like fine-tuned, like optimized customer experience that's essentially going to, I mean, ultimately, like it ultimately is more intelligent and like raise like the overall like profitability of the whole thing. And but then at which stage you would actually be able to like use that and let's say leverage it to or leverage for the purpose of deciding what home builders should actually build. So you kind of work with them on one project, and only after you can kind of have that specific developer use that intelligence further, or do you aggregate data across current customers you worked with and then sort of vendor that data to new ones to kind of a priori be able to like gauge and like adjust their building decision?
Yeah, so I can basically unpack by first kind of putting out how our customer actually generally operate. This is like we kind of currently operating across 20 different geo market, and there are master plan community as well. There are also smaller builder. The smallest builder we work with is actually like building 150 homes or 100 homes per year. So there, if I take a typical community construction project, there's multiple phases. They do the land development, and then they basically release the first phase. They put a few floor plan there. Today, with or without technology, right? So then they say, okay, based on my experience, my knowledge to this local market, I know this kind of home will work on this first phase. So I basically build my first phase, sell it, and through the selling engagement, that's I get a sense of, is the product, is the pricing fit my local market? Then with the first phase being successful, and then I basically roll out multiple phases. Sometimes this can last as long as like even 7 years or 10 years. Or a short project can be 2 or 3 years, right? So, but they do tend to break up multiple phases and keep the premium lot to the later stage on the last phase, so that they can enjoy prior premium. So if you think about that's how they currently operating, the way that they make decisions is based on the existing sales. Meaning, like if you say, let's say a 500 lot community, you only have 500 data points. So, and then you basically, your first phase, let's say the first phase is only 100 lot, you have 100 data points. That's a very skewed view about how actually your consumer expressing the demand. So what we're basically doing is that, well, why not just wait for the customer to buy the home, instead starting to capture your consumer behavior pattern starting from online. So these home builders typically have a permanent website, and that's where we transform them. We actually inform them on every phase of development. Our algorithm can actually learn about the local market within as soon as 4 weeks, depends on the web traffic volume. These home builders typically have 10,000 sessions per month, and we basically can immediately showcase you, hey, your different demographic by using our basic statistical and AI approach to learn about this demographic. They are actually liking this kind of product versus the other type. So we pretty much can make the decision within weeks to months after we launch. And our launch cycle is very quick. This is a bolt-on solution to the existing website. So yeah, within 1 or 2 months, we basically be able to demonstrate our value.
Then you train your model on like a bigger data sets across home builders in that sense, I assume, or it's more kind of the assumption being within a given new project, there are certain parameters that are hard to mimic
Uh,
or replicate?
so that's a great question. So essentially, you touch on a basic machine learning co-start problem, right? So yes, we actually first we come with a pre-trained model, but let me actually give you a little bit how the technique we actually do it for those who are interested in machine learning. If you think about it, we don't on the delivery of the experience looks like Netflix, but we face our own unique challenge because home builder are not really Netflix, right? So if you think about Netflix, they have your account maybe for a whole year. They know what movie or like different shows they watch for the entire year. Same for Amazon. We don't have that luxury. When customers come, they probably have 25 to 30 seconds to stay for those who truly interest. Of course, a lot of those places less than 60 seconds would be considered bounced. But what we found on the other end is interesting is that let's suppose for me, I'm a more analytical minded person. If I come to shopping for a new home construction home, I will basically apply price filter, kick out the home that I'm not interested or let it be I cannot afford or too low in the price that I don't care. And then I start browsing, looking at picture, maybe looking at location. Versus another person might be saying, I know the city really well. I want to look at the northeast or northwest of the quadrant of my city. And that's where I start. And the third person might be like my wife, for example. She wants to browse through picture first. It's kitchen and whatnot. But these distinct decision patterns allow us to basically create a decision fingerprint. So when the next person comes in, starting a pricing apply, like let's suppose I apply 50 clicks and found a home that I like. Then when the next person come in, if they express a similar decision pattern, then why do we have to let them wait another 50 clicks? We can showcase what a successful conversion looks like and then in real time experiment all those behavior patterns. So that allows us to basically solve the co-start problem initially, but today we don't even have that problem anymore because we have probably a couple million unique behavior profile that is actually established in our algorithm that's pre-trained. So when we basically deploy for a new customer, it's a pre-trained model that basically start to adapt to that specific customer.
And just for our audience, I mean, just so what is the machine learning problem that you're referring to?
It's a recommender system. Yeah. So that's how we'll
No, meaning the last yeah.
A co-start problem in machine learning. Yeah. So that's basically, yeah. Sorry, basic for the audience that you hear. Yeah. So basically, machine learning, there's a classic co-start problem. How do you start the algorithm initially? So, but that's how we solve that problem ourselves. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. But then, so let's say from a profit optimization perspective, let's say what kind of numbers are we talking about? So if you have something like, let's say we have something like Netflix, like it's a comparison, and you have like a flat out system, and then you have that super customized, like they're showing you the right movies you're interested in, etc. Like what kind of conversion percent increase we are referring to, or is it going to be like 20%, or is it going to be double, or like what kind of increase in conversions can one expect? And then why, or let's say, how do you guys choose the builder or single family builder market for that?
So first of all, actually, from the get-go, for marketer who care about a lot the lead conversion, whatnot. So in general, this market, they have 0.5% contact conversion for all the total web traffic volume to become a contact lead. We typically be able to double, and for some even triple that. So 100% increase at least for the experience. If you think about that, there's only, for every local market, there's only a fixed size of a new home buyer. So when they see a very good experience that's mobile friendly, but also basically experience curated for them, we basically save the hassle for them to find what they truly need. If you think about that, the algorithms actually tap into all the other people found a home that's similar to them to help them to find a home faster. But this is actually just a marketing side of impact. The more significant impact is actually on the other side when we help in the home builders operation. So traditionally, home builders are not very cautious about pricing changes. In these current market conditions, actually very different compared to the typical market because it's COVID and the interest rate impact. But even with that, like in a typical traditional sense, they don't change price quite often. And there's a lot of reason for that. There's managing customer expectation. The sales cycle for new home construction is much longer, so they do have to manage that. But there's another thing we actually find is that in general, their pricing model is cost plus. This is my construction cost. This is my G&A requirement because this is how big my company is, and then I need to add that profit margin. When I add that profit margin, I can sell. So, but they actually leaving a lot of opportunity and money on the table because the true competition for their inventory and house that they actually have is you have a resale market around that too. Yes, they're not entirely the same, but what they actually kind of leaving on the table is that they don't know truly the willingness to pay. And we are able to now understanding the different composition and mixture of the option and what matter to every consumer. And we are the first company basically starting to help them to capture when did they change price. So we start off just monitoring how the pricing change and how is that impacting the velocity of the conversion as well as sales. By understanding the velocity of change and all that, we basically can calculate the elasticity of pricing to the market demand. Then we can actually, in a way, using our more sophisticated model to tell them, this is your market's potential willingness to pay. And then we even provide guidance and say, well, you can actually have this kind of different deal acceptance to wait for a better deal and then see if it works out or not. So using more sophisticated probability, more sophisticated operational research method that there's a lot being used in other industry. I hope that makes sense. Any questions?
I mean, would you say, because questions, would you say, let's say in the rental market, and we're going to go to the chat as well, but in the rental market, would you say that platforms like apartments.com, let's say, that showcase the rentals of big commercial properties, but it's rentals, it's not like build single family housing, and maybe it's less customizable, etc. But would you say they use some of those systems, at least for the pricing part? They seem to be changing some of the pricing for their rentals kind of daily, etc.
So I assume your question is this applicable for rental market? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, and it seems is some
absolutely
of it
so.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So actually interesting too, because sometimes it's actually our ability taking us into that market. So we do have one customer actually take us into that market because the builder also switching into purpose-built rental project as well. They build and own, and then that's something we are working with them as well. So we haven't completely roll out that project at this point because we want to stay focused and mature our technology. But yes, this is very applicable for the rental market. We actually kind of looking into seeking a more partner that have better robust data because actually rental, with our client, they are new to the rental market. So we don't have enough sufficient historical data set for it. But we're actually actively working with a few potential partners to get the actual pricing data. But one thing very interesting we found, because the builders are cost plus pricing, there's one thing they never pay attention to in the past that we actually struggle to get the historical data if we don't deploy our platform is, when did you change price? How often? And what was the effect and the sales velocity to it? They never measure the time, unfortunately. And also what makes it worse is salespeople of the home builder, a lot of time, they care more about the total commission rather than tweaking the margin. Like for me, selling another $50,000, huge margin improved for the home builder, but for the salesperson, I'm just making a small percentage of their commission. So I don't care. So I basically going to unleash to the market right away. Second thing is that because that a lot of reporting structure was not digitized with the home building industry, so they wait until the end of the month to report it. But then, like, you might actually sell on the second week or first week, but then you wait until the end of the month. So the timing is off. So if we don't manage under more digitized ways that how we have done it, then we don't really know the price response function at this point. But rental, because of transaction volume, the velocity, it's actually with so much more higher frequency, we actually do see that it's much more promising if we go there.
So yeah, question in the chat. So do you choose builders or developers based on different algorithms, or do your buyers take your compiled analysis to their own builder?
So our buyers are our customer, are home builders. I assume, first of all, I actually want to clarify that it's the home builder who pay us. And we basically ship a out-of-the-box algorithm that's pre-trained, and then the algorithm is every home builder's own instance of an algorithm. They're going to learn about specifically what's going on within their sales funnel. Yeah, so typically after 4 weeks, the algorithm specific instance will be starting to adapt to how that home builder's market is. I hope that answered that question.
And let's say there is a home builder of like 150 unit single family community. Now you make a comparison to Netflix, but now on Netflix you have like, okay, all these different genres of movies, and then you have like, even within them, you know, like quite a few, you know, like tons of different movies that one can watch. Now, if it's a single family home builder, they build, okay, maybe they have like 3 types of, or 5 types or whatever of houses over there. Like they have like a set of, you know,
small
pricing, right? So how is that? Like how does that work? Like I'm just trying to understand, like because I'm sure you guys know a lot of value. You're saying you double, sort of potentially like to double the conversion, or whoever, like raise significantly the conversion for those builders. But I'm just trying to understand where that's coming from. Like
yeah, so the difference between Netflix or Amazon, you basically have hundreds of millions, or actually millions of movies to choose from. So in detail, the algorithms actually behave very different compared to Netflix and Amazon. That the Amazon and Netflix algorithm need to match hundreds of millions of web traffic volume to millions of inventory. Versus a home builder, like if I say a typical customer that we have is like 300 to 400 homes per year, they might have 60 or 90 different type of product type that allow people to choose. So way less. However, on the other hand, the customization, the degree of customization, the picture and all that, it's actually very different, right? So if you think about it, a lot of, like today, 70% of web traffic are coming from your cell phone. So if you think about how many floor plan you can fit into that little screen, maybe 2 at best or 3. So if you think about the permutation you have to basically be able to surface immediately, what is the best floor plan that suits to you? That's actually a lot of activity for the customer, an end home buyer, to go through. Now, keep in mind, if we are shopping a single family home, we don't go to just one home builder website. We go to maybe 5 or 7. And to what point do we stop is to the point of when we get tired. But the reality is actually all these home builders, they're able to create and build very similar floor plan. So if we basically say this kind of behavior pattern is most likely looking for this type of home versus the other type of behavior pattern for the other type of home, we are able to surface that very quickly. The job to be done for a website is twofold. One is get you to talk to a salesperson, because you're not going to buy a home online by clicking and check out. It's more about, okay, this home builder seems to have maybe 5 floor plan that I might like, versus the other home builder only have 1. Then I go to the home builder might have 5 foot that I like. But the reality is actually both home builders might have a similar product. Why do I see 5 here? Because the algorithm is curating for me. But then once I get there, the second thing, the other job to be done basically for the website is that now I can actually sending and sampling things that might not necessarily fit you, but I want to see your engagement. Then I can actually have a confirmed signal what truly matters to you. Is it different bathroom? Is it pricing? Is it upgrade option? Is the actual picture and look and feel? So all these are very important decisions for a home builder to make decision.
But then again, and maybe I'm kind of missing a part of it there, because okay, I understand the part with the permutations. So okay, if you have, let's say, a set of factors, you have the 4 points, and you know, like a set of factors that matter to consumers. Okay, then you have also their permutations, let's say, and that kind of raises the count of actual products that you guys are optimizing for. But so that part, okay, but still, isn't it the case that a home builder builds a community, and that community actually has, you know, like a set of like a bunch of exactly same houses, like printed out? And then what is to optimize there? And they have kind of, let's say, like 5 types of houses, and they're like exactly the same. And or is it, or there's more uniqueness? They were saying like each house has a different floor plan, etc. I guess I never bought a single family within a community myself.
Yeah, construction-wise, they try to be as close as possible, but then when they present to the consumer, they do want to differentiate them. There's a reason why people want to buy a new home is because you want to customize to your need. And that's why you want to wait, you want to pay a premium. It's a new house, but then you also want to customize it. But that customization can be a blessing and a curse because actually, truly, what a consumer wants is, I just want a home to be the way that I like it, but none of us are designers. So I would like to provide some hints so that the home builder can show me a plan that, oh, I just feel that I like it. Then I basically feel that this is a home that the dream house I'm looking for. They're not structurally, my understanding, I'm not a home builder myself, but structurally they are like Lego. They actually can be pieced together however you want within the construction boundary and permit that they allow. They try to produce uniform homes from the structure and cost perspective. But on the finish, on the color, on the the final touch, they want to make it as customized as possible. Yeah,
makes sense. I got it. I got it. Mm-hmm.
But that's also where the highest profit margin that they actually make from those final upgrades.
Yep, and that's precisely what you guys optimize for them as well. So that makes sense. So still, how did you guys choose this market? Like, how did you decide to do it? For real estate specifically. It's just because basically you're a pioneer in it. So I assume.
Well, first of all, we didn't realize how big the market is initially, and then once we realized, it's actually every year in North America, we basically operate both in Canada and US. Every year in North America is actually close to 900,000 homes per year, with a median sales price is single family homes, right? With a median sales price of $350 million or 900,000 homes per year, and then you have basically $300,000 to $350,000 median price for this house. So that's basically roughly more than $300 billion market every year. So, but this market also severely underserved. They are not really using technology, and it's actually interesting when you typically deploy ERP system for this home builder, it takes a 12 to 18 month cycle because there's so much work they need to customize for. And we take a modern software development approach, and we realize that by deploying our technology, we actually can really make a difference and impact this whole market. So that's why we decided to make technology accessible. And we were very fortunate to be able to work with a few home builders and validated that this is something important for them.
And let's say in terms of the kind of the life cycle of the investment of those home builders, like, do you have, like, what has been your experience in terms of shortening the cycle of selling out all their units within like X number of months or years versus
if absolutely
they didn't have any, if they just had the flat out old system from 10 years ago.
So if you think about it, actually on average, a home buyer, by the time they talk to a sales agent, in the current, most of the builder, even today, like you go visit a website, you find what you like. By the time you talk to the salesperson, you basically need to repeat yourself all over again. That's what we found is actually that in general, there's kind of roughly basically 15 days of sales velocity from the time that they actually make an appointment to closing deal when for actual really interested customer. So we're able to basically shorten to 12 days for our customer. The key difference is that in the traditional sense, a lot of customers come in and say, oh, I have this budget, I like this location, what do you have for me? Then the salesperson go through all the hard work to understand the customer need, which is still required. But today is more like, hey, I'm also like this ABC floor plan. What do I like about this and that? So that's basically the consumers are much more informed, but also the salesperson are not surprised because they were kind of involved in getting those real-time feedback from the website. And they also know that people looking for this and that will have a higher chance of conversion. So that's basically how we're helping the sales team and the consumer to basically getting to the point that finding the home that they need faster. So yeah, reduce it we basically increase 15% sales velocity.
The sales goes to 15%, and just so what does it mean in like actual terms? So let's say if you want to sell out 150 units, right? That need to be gradually sold out, and that's going to take you, I don't know, 24 months, or I don't know how much it takes, or more than that. And to what extent that does the time frame shorten?
So first of all, this home builder don't really like, they operate in a different way. For single family is that I have this fixed G&A, this is my target of the year. I'm going to release it over time because that's a fixed construction capacity they have. So what their primary concern is that I need to make sure I have a steady construction flow into the queue. By basically reducing accelerated sales velocity, we are basically allowing them to get to their target of the monthly or quarterly target faster. But as they get close to that target, like traditionally, if you say, I need to waste my last day of the month to basically meet my target, then I might need to make consensus on pricing. But if I say help you to accelerate your sales velocity in the middle of the first half of the quarter, then you can now be more opportunistic to basically hold out your premium lot or even upselling more options. So that's actually where we're at. Also, for some of the home builders willing to build spec home, basically build a home before the customer actually show up, we're basically making even more impact there to increase the spec home ratio. So they're now being more aggressive to be able to build more spec home. So that is an interesting effect that in the early of the year, so for those who are familiar with that, single family was like really hot in the beginning of this year. So we were able to inform a few home builders through our data and say, hey, your market really hot at this point. You don't unload our inventory. So a few of the home builders of our clients basically say they were able to hold out the inventory until when nobody else has them. Then they basically release them to the market. So all these are basically, it's an optimization decision that we're basically helping them use a more quantitative approach because we can see what's ahead of their typical decision schedule. You don't have to wait until sales is closed to make that decision. You basically watch your web traffic to understand that.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's great. And we have another question from Kathy on the chat. So you don't allow the consumer to compare builders once you have an understanding of the floor plan they like, and that would be counter to the builder's customers' interest, but helpful to the consumer. How do you plan to involve and monetize consumers, if at all?
So first of all, actually, we have, I've been working in data for so many years. I understand the importance of privacy. And the fundamental platform for privacy is actually consent. So one of the issues actually I personally have is like, when you go to a website, if their website install Facebook Pixel and Facebook tracked you on that website, the data point actually doesn't belong to that website, it belongs to Facebook. So we don't do that. When we deploy our system, we make a statement to the home builder. We are your data collection engine for the data that you're supposed to own in the first place. And that's also important for end consumer because, Stefan, let's say you go to a website, you gave consent to that business, not open house. So that's number one. We actually do collect all this data, but that is the data asset that belongs to the home builder. Because home builder pays us, right? So that's number one. So we, at this point, like Kathy, you said, we don't allow consumer to compare builders for that reason because the data actually belongs to the home builder, not. But that actually fundamentally helping consumer as well because your consent was given to the business, not open house. Now, on the other hand, our long-term vision is this. We actually are able to aggregate and compile the general market information to inform them. Like, the idea is this, that we don't really require to track consumer without their consent. If I'm in the market, I'm basically looking for this kind of product. I go to all these different builders, which also our client. Human being, what we found from our research, follow very precise decision patterns. That's why we're very hard to think outside our own box. So what we actually find is actually that by learning this kind of decision pattern to get to the certain similarity of home, when you express your pattern in the second website, we actually can get you to what you like very quick as well. So in a way, that's how we see using algorithm in general, we actually did express and help the algorithm find what really matching to you, regardless where you go. Again, of course, it needs to relearn about you, but we already be able to learn about behavior pattern within basically 10 or 15 seconds. I don't think we need to go fast in that for for a decision like buying a house. I hope that answers your question.
And so would you say, like, because you mentioned like the size of the market, like maybe like over 300 billion per year, right? Like 900,000 homes with like greater than 300,000 home value. And so as you know, like there's like this kind of developments like build to rent and etc. Like communities. So do you see those as a big opportunity for you, sort of, or larger private equity funds stepping into the single family space and this kind of, how to say, like making single family investing more institutionalized?
Yeah, potentially. So if you think about that, right? So if we are able to inform the capital provider of the land or new home construction to say, well, we have the conviction that the demand is here, and we want to make the expansion to it. A lot of time, actually, there's a few things that are holding them back. One is, of course, for a home builder to say, this is new land I'm going to develop, I'm going to move a few hundred families here. That's a big, very bold move for them to do it, and very long-term commitment for them to do so. It's actually, these are very, very significant capital investment. We actually heard one of a builder in the market in Canada here was like, the guy say, oh, I think I have the conviction that this will work, but then no bank will finance it. He put up his own $100 million into to get the project started, and then demonstrate the case, start selling, then the institutional money coming. So if we are able to say, well, you don't have to do that in this such high risk way. All you need is put a digital asset, a website, saying this is what we're going to build, inform the consumer, and see how the interest level looks. I mean, we're not necessarily going to get there to the point of this yet, but I think we can get much closer to say, but by watching and monitoring your demand and your supply capability, we should be able to even help the financial institution to say, you should actually have confidence about what the home builders are doing here, because they really know the market, right? So that is, in a way, potentially we can even help solve the supply side of the housing market problem. Because I think we all know there's actually a housing shortage issue here. There's a lot of government factors, policy issue, but access to capital for sure as well. But there also is uncertainty to the market. If you think about that, a lot of that has to do with the long lag time of the supply side to the market. But the issue is, if I'm in the market to buy a new home now, I might not necessarily wait another 8 months to buy a home. I might go back to resale market because I need to move in 3 months. Oh, but if a new home construction builder happen to have an inventory ready in 2 months, then I might consider buying that. But for that home to be ready for me in 2 months means that the home builder needs to change from build to order to build to forecast. And that's not what they used to do, because not tap into enough about using data to inform the decision. And that's what we said I want to change. Because fundamentally, if everyone going back to resale market, who is the supply side of the market? How do you solve the housing shortage issue? So that's kind of our estimate here. That potentially by equipping home builder to be more, reduce the risk of decision, be more efficient in construction, and also having more access to capital, like you said, Stefan, potentially, then we basically really can increase the supply side. That's a huge housing shortage in US alone. So we believe there's a big market out there that we can basically be able to make an impact.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. Do you guys have other questions? If we wanna speak up, perhaps. So it's, I mean, essentially, your last point, it reduces the uncertainty to the sort of within the real estate development sector, right? It makes it that assists and potentially could assist in like housing shortage, and you know, it's a big volume.
And again, the reason why we choose new home market first is because those are the home that you can still change. It's a home that you just built, or the product design and the impact of product design actually have a much more significant impact compared to resale market, like basically the house is right there already. You cannot make structural change to it. And the second thing also is that when we improve our algorithm, like to what degree we can actually make short long-term prediction, is very much based on the traffic volume we are able to capture on the total market. But before we get there, right? So for local market, if we basically have enough traffic, we are able to help these single-family home builder because their build cycle, the cycle time is much shorter compared to a multi-family unit. So that's where basically starting small, but we do aim to basically make big impact in the long run. Yeah.
But then to what extent, go ahead.
I just want to basically, that's how we tie back to kind of the title of the subject. So look at not just the 1% of the conversion, the converted customer that you buy home, but looking into the the remaining 99%, essentially 100% of people who come to a website and expressing what they need on your website and then converting that into meaningful business decision to help them to make this millions, tens or hundreds of millions of dollars home building operation decision.
But to what extent, let's say, you essentially partner with those home builders? To what extent they need to have a digital asset that you're going to optimize. Two, that digital asset needs to be suitable enough to be able to be optimized. So to what extent do you give them like certain specifications for how they build their how their website is going to be appropriate for you to sort of plug in your model into it and your optimization system?
Yeah, so we first of all only impact a subset of the website, not the entire website. Home builder marketer care a lot about the homepage. We're not impacting that. But when the consumer starting searching, what product do you have? That for a home builder marketer is typically the most challenging part they need to manage because your pricing change a lot, your inventory come and go. You need to change your pricing, your launch schedule, your possession day change all the time. It's quite a hassle for them to use a conventional WordPress or Wix website to manage all these changes. So what we do is actually we tie into the ERP system, make automatic update, and then the marketers go in and approve it. But we also offer them a backend system that, like a content management system, that's completely drag and drop. So we basically make it as easy as almost like you take a picture and drag, of course, professional taken. You drag and drop, you put a label there, and then up you go. So they basically maintain themselves. We make it super easy for them to maintain. Rather than really you need to tweak website, you basically now, drag and drop in video, pictures, or whatever you like, and then put a label there. But then we use algorithm to basically arrange dynamically for every individual for them. So they don't have to worry about, how do I position this, A/B testing that? No, actually our algorithm take care of all this, but only in the search experience. So not the website itself. So not the homepage.
Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense. But still, there is the initial part. So before, let's say you provide them an interface where they can feed in, let's say, their units availability, broadly speaking, with its parameters, with its customization parameters, etc. And then you're going to take those and kind of like shuffle them around and give the customized experience, let's say, high level. But then to those inputs that you guys are going to get, like where it's still a human within that builder, that builder's company, let's say, who needs to plug in all that stuff. So have you had a case where maybe your builder partner in this process or customer, they would actually, maybe they just don't update their available units correct or etc., and that kind of potentially hinders your optimization, where they just sort of are not maintaining their inventory in order or something like that. I mean, I assume it's kind of only at the beginning stage. It's just kind of a one-time thing, I assume. But I don't know, I feel there's this kind of communication that needs to happen, that they make sure. I mean, perhaps your interface resolves that by giving them a very user-friendly interface that they would plug in everything. Maybe that's your way of this kind of, or aligning that.
So if you think about a home listing, it's pretty much similar to MLS system. Like I have these photos, I have the specification that's already existing. They already have those data on the existing website. So a lot of time they already hook up to ERP systems. Sometimes they're not. Yes, there's a one-time setup to basically port over whatever they have. And we actually offer those services ourselves. We basically have our own basic, with their permission, we crawl their existing website and basically throw them all into our platform. It's actually the key for the AI to learn is the structure. Is that is actually we control and manage and design with purpose. So then that's how we learn of, like, did you navigate this way or did you navigate that way? That's why we actually have a very carefully designed structure to capture the behavior pattern. Now it's up to the home builder to put whatever photo they like. So.
Got it. And you mentioned like you mentioned 3 behavioral patterns of consumers, like kind of like high level, right? And so like the third one was more photos oriented. So how do you guys optimize that? So do you have computer vision algorithms for that, or how do you?
It's fairly. It's actually today fairly easy to basically do everything about YOLO. Another thing can read the object detection very quickly. So we basically read those as well. But also, here's an interesting thing: marketers care a lot about their photos. So
sorry, what did you say about the object detection? That part?
Oh, there's a lot of So there's a lot of very mature technology already to basically do object detection, not only in picture, but or even in video. So for example, one of the famous libraries called YOLO, right? You only see once, for example. So we tap into those existing technology as well. We also add more label for our own training. But there's one more thing we actually find that is interesting is marketers care a lot about the pictures. So because actually really the picture is what they put forth to the customer to showcase how good their product is. And they also put label to it so that they can improve their search engine optimization. So we provide all this for them. So then basically for them, we basically read the label they actually also provided as well. So that further improve our algorithm capability.
But just from a tech, just so I understand, like from a tech perspective, you guys, so object detection is the technological element that gives you the capacity to track the design, the behavioral pattern of that type 3 customer code.
Yeah, so there's object detection.
Yeah.
There's also other like scene detection. Is it outdoor, indoor? Is it living room? Is it kitchen and all those things? Then did you pay most attention to kitchen, or did you spend most time into the living room? So like imagine, right, the algorithm can do it in real time. Say, I think you might be interested in kitchen. I'm going to push a few kitchen picture to the front. Did that increase engagement? And maybe I can swap. We don't really know how that would work on case by case, but I can swap other floor plan and other living room pictures, see does your engagement level actually drop a little bit. Then I basically have a confirmed signal that you basically care a lot more about kitchen, right?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so you have some like image classification, let's say image classification algorithms, and then that gives you more data, and you kind of study that.
Yeah, that's fairly easy.
Okay, got it. Okay, good. High level. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, if you guys have other questions, we have Will here today, so he's been pretty generous with his time. If you have like any like last questions, perhaps. Is there anything you wanted to share, Will? That
I think it's quite interesting to like the topic you guys talk about how the finance meet real estate, right? So we are more like a tech company. We are still learning, and we actually found that real estate is very, very interesting. It's fascinating, right? So there's so many complexity kind of baked inside. I very much look forward to connect more with you and your group of audience, and so learn more about basically the capital and the real estate out and the technology, how all these blend together. So I think it's actually fascinating if you think about all these 3 combined.
True. Yep. Okay. And what is the best way for people to reach you?
You can basically come to our website, or my email is will@openhouse.ai. So fairly simple.
Okay, so will@openhouse.ai. Your website is openhouse.ai.
Yeah.
That's the best way. LinkedIn as well, I assume.
Yeah, LinkedIn. Yeah, you can name it LinkedIn. Yeah. And also, I'm still learning the language of the finance and the real estate. So yeah, feel free to. I'm very happy to have a conversation with you guys. I'm always happy to learn.
So you guys are essentially now working more on the, I mean, I wouldn't say it's just marketing optimization, because you have like perhaps more than that, right? Because you then affect kind of the builder's decision as a result. And so it kind of, I wouldn't say is it kind of marketing insight, but it's also in a way like investor insight in the end, like on the builder side, because they are still they're able to customize all the stuff still, right? So,
so it's more
of both.
Yeah, it's more operational insight. So kind of what our ambitions is here. So marketing in home building industry traditionally was like not really ranking very high. I think like the home builder say, I'm going to build this home, and then marketer, you come, market it, pay ads, drive traffic to it, then we can sell. But what we actually trying to turn is actually that basically we can make the marketer become the new hero for the home builders. So because actually they have access to basically the biggest opportunity for them to understand the entire market. So marketing is not just about telling the market what you have, but also understanding your local market, what are the customers' demand. But marketer is the best opportunity to basically help the home builder collect those information. And we take those and make the marketing team become the new hero of home builder, and then inform operational decisions, right? Like basically, how do I make sure I optimize my cash flow according to my G&A and construction capacity? How do I maximize my profit by coming up best product mixture that no one else actually know about it, right? Just basically, I just help our customer with, like we help our customer to nail the product mixture, and then they enjoy higher profit. And then also, how do you using some of our true expertise is operation research optimization using like mixed integer programming or dynamic program to help them optimize the construction schedule. So that's actually where we are truly seeing ourselves not on the marketing side, but helping the home builder to make operational decisions.
Understood. Yeah. That kind of operations research, decision science, in a way, one can say. And but then okay, got it. I mean, to what extent it hinges? I guess I have my last question, perhaps, because I asked quite a few. Like, I mean, so to what extent? Because that also hinges on what if that home builder, in the first place, their website has no audience at all. Like, let's say their search engine optimization doesn't work. Like, have you had such case, like where some of your customers just nobody is reaching their website in the first place?
Well, then that's not our ideal customer.
Then yeah, I understood.
Yeah.
Okay. But you guys don't do that. Like that's obviously that's SEO. That's a totally different topic. It's
that's not our job. That's our agency. They typically put they put 1.5% of their operation into marketing budget. So it's not trivial neither. So for a larger home builder, like a couple $100 million, so they are able to generate quite a lot of traffic to them.
Yeah, understood. That makes sense. Okay. So just one moment. So with that, I think I don't have other questions. If anybody wants to ask my last question, that's the time. We're like 3 minutes until the end, pretty much. I think we covered quite a bit. I'm quite impressed with what you guys do. I think it's great value. It's a big market. It's very, it's a pioneer work, I think. I don't even know if you guys have any competitors. At least I don't know any. So
we don't know any yet, but we welcome because one of the biggest challenge not about competitor. It's about changing the way that they think, and then see what's the opportunity out there. So we're actually very happy to see more people keep pushing forward.
That would inform your potential customer market, right? I assume.
Exactly.
Know about it. So Okay, so thank you so much. So it's so you guys can reach to will@openhouse.ai, right?
Yeah,
As well as
that's
the
fine.
website openhouse.ai.
Mm.
Thank you for being here today, and thanks to everyone for attending.
Yeah, great pleasure. See you.